All right. Well, hello everybody, and we are back with another episode of Lunch with a Lawyer. And today's special guests are Jennifer and Kristen von Fossan. I think I got that correct, right,
Yeah,
ladies?
perfect.
And my colleagues with the law of Dennis Fox specialize in Social Security benefits, and I don't want to say anything wrong, so I'm going to let you ladies introduce yourself, and then we can go into a few questions and go from there.
All right. My name's Kristen Van Fossan. Like you said, I work for Dennis Fox and Associates, and we represent claimants filing for Social Security disability benefits as well as supplemental security benefits. And I also practice doing some long and short-term disability through private insurance companies.
I'm Jennifer Van Fossan, same office. I've been practicing Social Security disability law for about 15 years now, from the very initial application through federal district court.
That is amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the different types of benefits that people are entitled to. And I'm going to be honest with you ladies, even though I kind of, I don't handle them, but I hear about all these questions when it comes to Social Security. There's just so much out there that I don't know about. So let's talk, what kind of benefits are out there? What's available?
Well, there's two main types of benefits that most people ask about or end up qualifying for. One is disability insurance benefits. The other is supplemental security income benefits. So disability insurance benefits is a program where you pay into the system. You earn credits when you pay in, when you work and pay taxes. If you've worked generally about 5 out of the past 10 years and earned at least maybe $5,000 per year, you most likely will be insured for disability benefits. The other system or the other program is supplemental security income benefits, and it is for children or people that have not worked paid into the system enough. And what you get out of that depends upon your income and your assets. So it's more of a need-based program.
So basically, if you're making some money, it's going to take away from your supplemental security.
Yes.
Okay.
But there's a very complicated calculation. It's not dollar for dollar. There's a very complicated calculation that they do at the Social Security office. So if you are earning SSI, or if you're getting SSI and you have any income coming in, you just have to report it to them and they do the calculations.
And I can attest from my personal experience that calculation is just impossible to understand. I think there's like some IT program that they use. And as I said, my little brother receives SSI. He's disabled. He has epilepsy. And as I mentioned previously, when he was a minor, as soon as my dad received an extra check during the month, his supplemental security would drop. And we tried to figure out how they get to those numbers. And
it's very complicated.
Yeah,
they don't count the first $20 of income, and then they only count half of the next $65. So, and then beyond that, they get to a max, and then they just completely cut you off. So, and the max depends upon how many people are in the household. So it varies and it changes from year to year.
And that could be anything from actually having income coming in to a person on SSI who is living with someone and not paying rent. So they don't give you money for rent. There's a statutory deduction.
Wow. All these great things. I mean, at the end of the day, if it can be complicated, why make it simple, right?
Right.
So when it comes to Social Security, how does one apply? How does it work? How does the process work? When do you start thinking about it? And
you should apply immediately because the process takes a long time. There are several different ways to apply. Number one, you can apply online, at least for disability insurance benefits. SSI cannot be done online. It has to be done via paper application.
However, you have to file both applications regardless. So you have to file the DIB and the SSI. You have to fill out the same forms online.
And then you can also call Social Security and set up an appointment to apply in person as well. And then for clients we have at our office, we actually apply for them if they want us to. So we fill out all the applications online and fill in all the information. And we send them the SSI paper application and submit that to Social Security.
Here's kind of my basic understanding of it. A doctor has to certify that you're unable to work for the next 12 months. Is that not, so I was totally wrong.
That's not totally wrong, but that's what the standard is you have to have a condition that is expected to last for 12 months, but you don't have to have a doctor saying you're going to be disabled for 12 months. That's really not going to be useful. What they're looking for is your doctor telling them what their limitations are because of their conditions. And then the judge will determine whether or not those limitations result in disability.
Okay. And one of the questions that I get here, and as I said, I always send them your way to answer them properly, but here we can try to answer it. People are telling me if a doctor has to certify, or if I'm unable to do the work, if I've got this disability, but I'm working right now, so should I stop working and apply? Should I continue working and apply? How does that dynamic work?
I always tell people that if they can work, that they should work, because they're not going to qualify for disability benefits if they're able to work.
Okay.
But if they are not able to work full time, or they've had to stop working, even if they don't know how long it's going to be for them, if they're having surgery or something along those lines, or had an injury, the whole process can take more than 2 years. So I tell people to apply immediately. And sometimes people get better, throughout time. Maybe they have a surgery and they get better. If they were unable to work for at least 12 consecutive months, they can sometimes get benefits for just that time, like a closed period where they say, I became disabled on this date and I got better on this date. And as long as it's at least 12 months, they can get benefits for that time.
How is it different, physical versus mental disability?
Well, with a physical disability, they look at your ability to sit, stand, walk, lift, carry, push, pull. A lot of times with physical disabilities, you can get MRIs, x-rays, testing done that shows what's wrong with you. Objectively, correct.
Okay.
But with mental disabilities, there's no test to show that you have depression or anxiety or bipolar disorder. It's all based upon what you report to your doctor, your symptoms. They diagnose you based on your symptoms. And then as you report those, throughout time, we have the biggest problem probably with mental cases because people don't always report all of their symptoms to their doctor each time. They might say, well, I told the doctor, and assume that the doctor knows because at the first visit, they told them, all of their symptoms. But if they go through and each visit, they're telling the doctor I'm doing about the same, or, I'm not much different, the judge is going to look at that and say, I don't know what that means. I mean, if they're not telling me or they're not reporting, they stay in bed all day or they have panic attacks frequently, the judge isn't going to believe what they're saying if they're not reporting it to their doctor on a consistent ongoing basis.
So basically the answer to this question is if there's a mental basis for a claim, make sure you tell the doctor everything that you're going through right now. And the reason for this question is actually very simple, and you've probably come across it a lot. Most of my clients, Bosnian Americans that have come here over the past 20, 30 years, have got mental issues, and they are actually more trauma related. And I think a lot of the clients that I've referred over to you guys' office have had at least in conjunction with the physical ailments, they've had some mental issues. And from what I've seen with them, they're not very willing to talk about it, like not with lawyers, not with their doctors. So it just makes their case much more complicated, doesn't it?
It does, but we try to work really hard to sit down with these people and explain to them, show them the records, and explain to them that this is what's here. So we can fix it now. And I know it's hard to talk about. We're going to have to talk about it at the hearing. So at least informing them the best we can that what to expect if you can't do those things. But I tell my clients to try to talk to their doctors and examples because it gives limitations without the doctor actually having to give them. So if they, if you go see a psych doctor once every 3 months, it's important that you're telling them everything that's happened for the last 3 months, not just how you're feeling that day when you come into the office. But examples are a really good way. I went to Walmart and there was too much light and I was, there were too many noises, I had to leave. Those are good ways to explain your limitations to your doctors.
And what Social Security looks at is how your condition affects your ability to work. So just because you have one particular symptom or another, that doesn't necessarily mean that symptom is affecting your ability to work. A lot of times with mental disabilities, people have issues with being around other people. So that's when they need to talk to their doctors about, when they go to the store, they're around other people, like she mentioned, and what it does to them. Even with a lot of people in the ward, they have nightmares, they have flashbacks, things like that. Even if you don't want to talk in detail about what these are about, what's important is that you tell your doctor, number one, you're having the symptoms, and number two, how it's affecting you. So just because you have nightmares doesn't necessarily mean that's going to affect your ability to work. But if it's affecting your ability to sleep, and then you're tired all day, you have trouble concentrating because, of this lack of sleep, that's the important part to get across to the doctor, so that when you, go in front of the judge and you say, this is why I can't work. I don't sleep very well. I have nightmares or flashbacks. I can't concentrate for long periods of time. That's what the judge is looking for, is basically how your condition affects your ability to do just basic things like concentrating, being at work every day, being able to concentrate on your job and do that for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Some people have panic attacks, for instance, and that all boils down to what happens during a panic attack. Would you be able to continue working if you were having a panic attack? So if the answer is no, I would, 15 or 20 minutes, I'm not going to be able to work during that time of a panic attack. Then what Social Security is looking at is, how often do you have these? Is it, if you have them once or twice a year, you can probably work with them. But if you're having them, once or twice a week, most vocational experts will say that if you have to take 1 or 2 extra breaks for 15 minutes every single week, there's not going to be any jobs out there that you can do. You can't maintain the work.
Seems to me it's just a lot of those factors kind of combined to show the judge, to show the administration that, hey, if you're not able to work. And one of those examples I know of is a lady that she can't drive because of those flashbacks. Now, she was driven to work before, but now all of a sudden, dynamics change. She can't get a ride with those people. So all of those things come into play that will show the judge as to, what's going on. I told you I've gotten a few questions on Facebook prior to this live broadcast, and I'm going to try to go through them. And so one of them is, if someone has long-term disability and Social Security disability, can they be eligible for Medicaid?
Well, Medicaid is, it's going to do the calculation on its own. And I don't know the exact limits that they have, but my guess is if you're getting both of those benefits, you probably aren't likely to qualify for Medicaid. But if you're getting Social Security disability, you will qualify for Medicare after you've received benefits for 24 months.
Okay.
Let me explain it this way. If somebody has worked enough to qualify and have a long-term disability policy, they probably paid in enough to Social Security to qualify for Social Security disability.
Okay.
If you qualify for Social Security disability, your income is not counted.
Okay.
You get those benefits based on what you paid in. So you can, win the lottery and still get your disability benefits. It's not affected. But with SSI,
Medicaid is an income-dependent program.
Okay. So what about somebody that's receiving supplemental security and they've never worked, they've been disabled since birth? Does that mean as soon as they receive supplemental security benefits, they also automatically get Medicaid, Medicare? Which one of them is it?
Medicaid, you'll automatically qualify medically for Medicaid, and then they'll look at your finances. But generally, yeah. If you get on disability or SSI, you will qualify for Medicaid.
you have to prove, for Medicaid, you have to prove, number one, you're unable to work. And number two, you qualify financially. You don't have too much income or assets to go over their limit. So,
and it's low, very low. So if you own 2 cars, they're going to look at that second car. If you own a piece of property that to you doesn't really mean anything, they're still going to look at the value of that.
Having, mentioned that property aspect of it, and I've seen those issues pop up. Bosnian Americans again, okay? They will get that questionnaire. I think it comes out every year, and they ask them like, well, what do you own? Like, what's yours? And here, they're probably living off of Ridgewood, and they don't have anything. They live in those state-sponsored apartments. And then they will mention, oh, I've got a little house in Bosnia. And all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose.
yes.
Then they come out and they say, well, we are going to cancel your benefits until you show us what that house is worth. if your house is or your apartment is in, the center of Sarajevo, chances are it's not worth that much. It's probably, worth nothing if it's somewhere on the rural areas of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So how does one,
Get that information.
And how to avoid those issues? How to kind of like, because you don't have a whole lot of realtors in Bosnia that are going to go out to, the rural areas and say, hey, this house is worth, 5,000 whatever euros or whatever it is.
Well, hopefully, if we find out about something on like that early on before we even file an application, I don't know the answer to that question, how to get the valuation of it, but it's definitely something where we would say you're not even going to qualify. So don't waste your time applying until we get this issue figured out.
For SSI, you can own a house that you live in,
Okay.
and you can own a car that you drive.
They don't count
those two things. But if you have a house you do not live in, even if you're renting, like in that situation, they count that as an asset. So for a single person, you can have $2,000 worth of assets before you get cut off. If you go over $2,000, you're going to get cut off. For a married couple, they allow $3,000. So what they want to see is that house worth, more than or less than that $2,000 or $3,000 cutoff. In the U.S., basically we have people get a realtor to go appraise it to see what the value is, to kind of get an idea of it's going to be over that limit. So I don't know if that's possible over there, but that would be kind of how you show the value of.
Or if they have it, do they have anything that
It's not as easy. It's not as easy as doing it here.
I'm sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's
Sure.
probably possible, but it would be a very, very difficult to obtain.
Well, if you find out, let us know.
I will. As I said, I've
versa.
probably seen 2 or 3 cases like that where people came into me and I'm like, I honestly don't know what to do about this. So you need to go talk to Fossan and Nedim. So I'm just like, talk to Nedim. But yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that happen. So let me go back to what you just explained. So you are allowed to own a house. It doesn't matter. What about the value of the
Doesn't
house
matter.
here?
If you're living in it, it doesn't matter.
Oh, so okay. So if I'm living in Frontenac and my house is worth $5 million and it's paid off, I'm. Still
They
good to
may
go?
investigate you a little bit, but
Okay.
yeah, one house.
And then I'm driving like a Tesla of $100,000 that's paid off, and I'm applying for that, saying I don't have anything.
If that's the
else.
only car you have.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But anything up above that, then they would start looking into
Right.
it. Okay, and that makes perfect sense. And then the other question that I've received, and that wasn't online or anything, but I had a client stop by, and he is thinking about moving to Bosnia. He's worked here for the past 20 years. He's got an earned pension, okay, but he's getting all these other benefits as well, I'm thinking. And his question is, if I move over there, will I lose this? Because not being a citizen, if he moves back to Bosnia, okay, he's going to lose his permanent residency after a year. He won't be able to come back in. So how does that affect those issues?
I think that if he's got a pension through Social Security here, meaning that he's paid in and he's got some sort of retirement here through Social Security, and he also has some sort of pension there, and he goes there. Since he's paid in, I believe that, it's something that I have to look up, but they do have agreements between countries about when you're receiving a pension for both places, so that you don't have a windfall, basically. They don't want you getting, all here and all there, or if you were getting SSI here and then you're getting some pension there, obviously, and vice versa. That's what they're trying to prevent.
Okay. I wonder if there's something between Bosnia and the United States.
Yeah, and that
If
may
they
be
can track
something
that.
that our office knows. It's just not something that I deal with.
Okay.
But there is someone in our office that kind of deals with those issues.
Yeah, and as I said, I get a lot of those Social Security questions, and that's why I thought that this get together for Bosnian American clients would be very beneficial. Now, I can't think of any other questions that I haven't received any. Is there anything that we should be talking about that we haven't covered right now that you guys know that pops up constantly in consultations with people that are applying or want to apply, or that would be beneficial for our audiences to know?
You have to get regular treatment for all of your conditions, and if you need help finding that, we have resources. But you can't just say there's nothing else they can do or this is all I can do. There are places you can go and get treatment. There's really no excuse for not getting it, but if you need resources and information, it's out there.
There's a obviously, we tell people to apply for Medicaid, and if they're denied, we tell them to appeal that. But also, I know Barnes Jewish Hospital, Mercy Hospital, and SSM have programs where people can apply, and if their income is low enough, they can actually qualify for up to 100% coverage through that facility for, I think, up to a year. I mean, they have to, provide their financial information, but they do have those programs. So if somebody can't qualify for Medicaid, we always tell them, to apply for those programs and see what they qualify for. I think even, I know for Barnes Hospital, they offer even 75% discount on services for people that are insured already. So if people, I have insurance, but my copay is too high, I can't afford, $50 or $75 every time I have to go to the doctor. That's a good resource for them also.
So there are resources. It's just that you have to know where to look and how to get to them. And you're right. I've seen a lot of people come to me and they say, well, no doctor will see me because I don't have any health insurance. So how do I go in there to show them that I am, mentally unstable and have all these issues, and or my shoulder is killing me, or my knee is hurting. I'm afraid if I go to a hospital that I'm going to get hit with a $50,000 bill, and then I can just file for bankruptcy and just be done with this, as they tell me. But there are resources, and if people need to get those resources, they can do that through your guys' office. You do have some information available. And the other thing is we just talked about Barnes Jewish Hospital, Mercy Hospital, all these big hospitals, I guess, in the area will have some
free
assistance.
clinics. They have free clinics within them. So Barnes has a specialty clinic or a special free clinic, and so does Mercy has a JFK clinic. But also, as far as Medicaid goes, age disabled and blind. A lot of times people apply for the wrong kind. They have some for parents, so you're applying for the age disabled and blind, and always appeal. Don't reapply.
I've had a lot of clients come to me and say, I went to apply for Medicaid, but they told me because I didn't have a child, I wouldn't qualify. So basically, I didn't apply. But that's absolutely not true. You don't have to have Social Security disability benefits to qualify for Medicaid. You just have to prove to them that you're unable to work. You do that with medical records, treatment.
And they send you to their doctors also, just like Social Security does.
Is there such a program? And that's kind of like, mothers with disabled children. And these are the issues that we, personally we encountered when my brother was a minor. He was totally disabled. Doctors say he needs 2 people to take care of him. Okay. What does that mean for my mom? Well, she's with him 24/7, right? She's unable to work. And for a little while, I think she was receiving Medicaid, and then they said, no more, you're not disabled. You know what I'm saying? So they just cut her off. So she was uninsured. Well, she picked up insurance through my dad's work, which was an arm and a leg, But is there such a program for parents with disabled children that are unable to work because of the disability of their kids? You see what I'm getting?
I know what you're saying, and the only thing I can think of is if the child qualifies for home health care, you could go through the Department of, I guess, what is it? Social services, senior services. You get home health care, potentially he could become an employer and employ her, and where she would be getting paid to take care of him.
So basically, Medicaid can pay for home health care services. Basically have somebody come in and help somebody with, chores around the house, bathing, dressing, preparing meals, things like that. You basically go to Medicaid and they do an evaluation to see if they believe you qualify for these services, how many hours per week or per day. And usually they allow, if they do qualify for services, you can pick the person you want to take care of you. So if you have a relative like a mother or somebody that is providing those services, they can actually get paid by Medicaid or Department of Health and Human Services to do that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, those are all the questions that I had, and I don't know if you ladies have anything else to add to this. I mean, I want to be respectful of your time as well. I know you guys are busy. So is there anything that I have not mentioned? If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
By phone. Our phone number is 314-241-9666. That's probably the best way. Just call our office and we can talk to you and figure out what benefits you may qualify for, apply, help you apply your sometimes we have clients come into the office, but a lot of times we don't need them to come in. We can do everything by mail and by phone. So a lot of people don't want to have to leave their house. We can do all that. The other thing I was going to mention just in passing kind of is that there's a long wait period and a long backlog with Social Security benefits. So if you apply and you end up getting denied at that, initial level, and you have to appeal that and request a hearing, it's taking 18 to 20 months from the time you file that appeal until you get a date to be in front of a judge.
Wow, it takes forever.
So don't wait. Get the application in and start it.
And they expect you during that 18 to 20 months to be treating on a regular basis, seeing your doctor, telling your doctor.
Yeah.
Wow. And they really just don't care, that people, go into foreclosure or lose their house, become homeless during that time. So
you
it's
guys
a long
have probably
way.
seen it happen a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it from A to Z. And, I'm going to attest that, all the referrals that I've sent your way, you guys have handled beautifully, professionally. Everybody was happy. Thank you very much for helping out our, clientele, Bosnian Americans. And I have put a link on the Facebook page. I will share it again, and I'll put some more contact information for you guys. But again, thank you so much for stopping by, giving us this great information. And if anybody wants to get a hold of these wonderful ladies regarding Social Security disability, please don't hesitate to reach out. And you can even reach out to me, and I'll just ship them over to Nedim. So
we do have somebody that speaks Bosnian in our office.
Yes, that is correct. So Dennis Fox and Associate do have Merima working with them. Is Merima the only one?
Marima is, and she's been working for us for 13 years.
Wow.
She takes care of our Bosnian clients from beginning to end, and she also takes care of our other clients. So she's a very important team member.
She's amazing. She is amazing.
Really
She's
is.
very responsive. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for being with us, ladies. And until
Thank you
next
for having
time.
us.
Thank you.